There for 9 years now.
And this business was previously at another location. How long have you been in business?
I've been in business for 25 years. Actually, I started right next door. So we had a small building which we knocked down, and then we created the design center next door. So I was there for 15 years, and so now I've been in Wyckoff for almost 25 years.
And would it be correct to say that you are an owner-occupant of a building, hands-on, you're there, still working on a daily basis?
Absolutely. Still there every day. So.
Okay. And your basic business is Monday through Friday?
Yeah, Monday through Friday, Saturday by appointment only. In the summertime, we're closed from June until September.
You basically have had the opportunity to rent other space there, and you had a concept at one time, if I'm correct, that the retail space would be retailers that would complement what you were doing there.
Right, that was the objective when we first started, and then, you know, with the economy, the way it started going, Oberg and Linkwas that was there, couldn't operate anymore, and they left, and it's been vacant for 3 years, and it's a major problem for me financially. Been trying to fill the space, and especially now with COVID for the past 2 years, it's been very difficult.
Now, the tenants that you have there now, could you just take us through the list of who's occupying the spaces now and what their use is?
Okay, so I have one of the units, so it's occupied by myself and my son, so there's 2 people there. We're both designers. I do sales, so I'm in and out. Next door to me is Strata Tile. They have a store there. They have 2 designers there and a receptionist. The third store is the one that's vacant at the moment. And upstairs we have
Excuse me, the third store is what? I didn't get that.
It's the one that's vacant.
Okay.
It's the one that's vacant. And then upstairs I have 3 offices. A bookkeeper's up there. She only goes there maybe twice a week. Usually it's on weekends, so she does it on a part-time basis. A therapist just moved in. It's one person. She's been there for about 4 months now. And the other unit is under lease right now, so actually I have a CO to Fred right now waiting for that response, so they should be moving in September. There are going to be 4 people there.
I'm sorry, what was that use?
The one that's going to be moving in? Yeah, they do import and export, so it's an office.
So with that said, and your observations since 2009 or 10 when the building was built, and you've been working there, has there been ever any problems with the parking?
No, there hasn't. I mean, if anybody's ever gone by, I have 48 parking spots, and at most you're going to see a capacity of maybe about 10. Tops 12. I mean, we only see 1 person at a time, maybe 2. Someone's browsing, it's 15, 20 minutes. If it's an appointment, it's an hour to 2 hours. Same thing with the tile people. They only have 2 salespeople. Someone walks in, they look around. If they don't have any assistants, obviously they need a designer to help them. So they're there for, again, an hour or so. Weekends, same thing with the tile stores, by appointment only. They're not there that often. Usually, again, when it's by appointment, we don't open up the store. We open up the store just for the clients, so the doors are locked, just to meet that client for that meeting, and at that point, we leave after the meeting is over.
You also explained to me that the bookkeeper that's there is one that does a lot of their work off-site. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. So she just comes, again, on weekends just to do some paperwork from time to time. So, I mean, my parking lot, again, is empty. If anybody goes there, it's a sea of asphalt. So, I mean, I wish I can fill it up. I mean, I have the restaurant across the street that's dying to they want some parking spots, but obviously I don't want to start having people coming in and out of there. I'm very protective. I mean, that's my home. You know, it was my dream to build it. I want to keep it beautiful. I keep it, manicured. It's a beautiful lawn, and I don't want people driving in there and parking their cars and going to the restaurant across the street or the golf farms, parking their trucks there. I mean, that's not the way I want to run my business. I want my clients there. I want the people that are in the building there, and that's pretty much it.
Would it be correct to say that during the course of your ownership and occupancy there that there's never been any problems with parking with your tenants?
No, never.
Has there ever been any parking problems or concerns about overparking with the customers that would come to any facility?
No, not at all. I mean, again, it's because of our businesses, there's really, the parking is used maybe at a 20% capacity, so there's plenty of parking spots for sure. I mean, we could probably double what we're doing now and still it would be half filled.
You had, when we filed this application, I suggested to you that you just take some parking counts and analysis in June and July, and you've done that, is that correct?
Yes, I have.
You made a list of them?
Yes.
Okay. And I show you this list. Is this the list that you've provided to me?
That's correct.
And it would be correct to say that this is based on your observations, and then you wrote these down.
I did, yes.
Just going to make this as an exhibit for purposes of the June, July timeframe. Lots of them here.
How would you like to have that more?
A1?
A1. Down that way.
Mr. Salerno, the list that you provided here are based upon your observations, correct?
That's correct.
And that would constitute people that are parked there because they are the tenants or people that are coming there as customers. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Before we made this application, am I correct to say that you interviewed the prospective tenant as to what they were proposing to do?
Yes, that's right. I mean, again, that building is important to me, so I really want to talk to anybody coming in there. I want to know who's going to be basically part of that family, and I want to have good tenants. I want to have a great relationship, so before we sign any leases, I want to meet them. I want to know how they were going to be running their businesses and their times and their hours, et cetera. So, you know, it's a beautiful community, and I want to make sure that the building and the tenants there are going to reflect that.
And so would it be correct to say that as a landlord, you looked at this use and saw that from a parking perspective, the lack of these 6 spaces that the ordinance requires would not create a problem for you in accommodating all of your tenants and the customers that come to that building?
Absolutely, yes.
And that's basically based on the fact that you've testified that in most instances, about 25% of the 48 spaces are actually being occupied.
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Thank you. I have I'll just go on to the sign. I mentioned in my opening the signage. Based upon current conditions and the tenancies and whatever, your approach, I understand it, is to put a sign out there for better visibility for the people that are occupying the space.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you drive down Goffle Road, anybody been down there, I'm sure everybody has. I mean, the speed limit is 40 miles an hour. People are just blowing by my showroom, not even knowing that it's there, looking for it. Sometimes they miss it, they turn around, or they stop quickly to try to turn into the parking lot if they see it the last minute. I want to make it so they can see it as they're approaching and they're not slamming on the brakes and possibly getting into an accident. So I think this will be beneficial not only for me, but also for the safety of that street and people being able to slow down, seeing the sign and seeing something on there. And they're like, yeah, this is where I'm going to be making my left into the parking lot. So, no, it is important. And to add to that, Bruce, also, I had a tenant that left after 2 years on a 3-year lease and saying, listen, people can't find me. And they're like, you know, the signage isn't there, I can't get a sign there. They're going by so fast, they go up and down the street 2 or 3 times before they find it, and putting that sign up there is going to be beneficial to find that tenant and also to be able to turn into the parking lot safely.
And would it also be correct to say that one of the other things that's prompted it is most recent prospective tenant with the moms and dads looking for that building to drop off Johnny or Mary for taking a test or getting tutored?
Yeah, sure. I mean, they want to know where they're going, and if they can see it as they're approaching it, that would make it much easier for them. And just to add to the location of it, I know that that's obviously, it's 12 feet from the curb, and I measured it, and I went down to 529, which is 2 down from me. And the sign that they have there is located pretty much in the same position as we're stating there on the site plan. So KL Physical Therapy is right down the street, again, 2 down. It's myself, and it's Mavis, it's Ravine, and then it's 529. And the location of their sign, which is pretty new, it's maybe 2 years old, is exactly where I'm proposing that mine be put.
Other than the setback deficiency, all these dimensions, the lighting and everything will be code compliant?
Absolutely, yes.
Fine, thank you. I have no further questions.
I have a couple of questions, Mr. Salerno. By the way, it's a very nice looking building. I took a ride by there and went in the driveway. You take care of it very well.
Thank you.
And I do sympathize with your difficulties as a landlord, especially in these times. So, a couple of questions though. What are the hours of business for your business on weekdays?
We're there from 8 o'clock until 4.
Until
4 o'clock.
4? Okay.
Yes.
And then on the weekends, you indicated Saturday, you have no open hours, everything's by appointment?
By appointment, yes.
Okay. And are you closed Sunday?
Yes.
Okay. And I had a question with regard to how close to you're very close to the Ridgewood border there, right?
Ridgewood is across the street.
Oh, okay. And then on that side of the street, how far, long before you hit, if you're heading towards Route 208, before you, is it Wyckoff all on that side?
Hawthorne.
Yeah, Hawthorne Chevrolet is, right.
Yeah.
Hawthorne Chevrolet is further down.
The truck center on the right is the last property in Wyckoff, the Hawthorne Chevy Truck Center,
Okay,
Right.
okay,
just before the light.
okay. But Ridgewood's not on that side at all, it's only on the other side?
Yeah, if you go further up, there's a medical center on the left side.
Yeah.
Okay,
About another quarter mile up on the left side, it turns into Ridgewood there.
okay. Those are the only questions I have at the moment. Anybody else?
I just curiously,
Kelly put her hand.
That's
oh, I'm
okay.
sorry,
No,
Kelly, go ahead,
no,
no,
no.
go. I'm
That's
sorry.
okay.
Go ahead.
That's okay. I just had a question with regard to the sign and the location. The engineer that has created this rendering for us, did they do any studies with regard to whether or not that sign will block the sight lines of people coming out of the parking lot? Because I see that the stop line for where cars are expected to wait before they pull out onto Goffel Road is pretty much on an even plane with where the sign is going to be located. And I see that it's 65 inches high. Do you know if they looked into that at all to see if that would block either traffic coming off of Ravine or the oncoming traffic from Goffel?
Yeah, where the sign is located in relation to where the cars are stopping before they go onto Goffel Road is probably set about maybe 5 feet back or so. So it doesn't at all interfere. As a matter of fact, there are some bushes that are actually even further in front of that, and those are not blocking view either.
Okay, thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
reviewed that with Tibor Lucentis at Conklin Associates, and he determined that would be the appropriate spot for it to be after he went out to the site inspection also.
Rudy, you had something?
I just, two quick questions. You have 7 spots on the sign, I count.
Yeah. mhm.
And you mentioned, I guess the 7th one would be the tutoring center, right? Because you mentioned 3 storefronts and 3 offices in your
Right.
testimony. So the 7th would be the tutoring. That's question 1. Number 2, and does it get too busy with 7 names on there?
Well, it's, I mean,
A little,
I mean,
I don't know if
for-
it's become self-defeating the more you put on it, you know?
right, yeah, exactly. I mean, I think it's just a matter of people being able to identify something there, so I really would like to do that in white and then do some lettering in black so people can actually see it. So I'm not going to get too fancy because I realize that doing a white background and black lettering would be the most appropriate, and then I'll do the blue to match the blue siding on my building.
Okay, just so you're aware, okay.
We've also talked of probably putting a number at the top of it.
Right,
So,
Okay, because I see there's a number on this, near the driveway now.
Right.
There's a nice little sign with a number on it there. So in fact, I wondered if it might be more effective to have the sign located closer to the driveway with that number on it, but if you're gonna put a number on the sign, that's.
Well, we put that there because we found that to be the best area to put it, but it's, it's actually this big.
Yeah,
So
right.
by the time somebody sees it, they already buy it.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
So the proposed tenant would be occupying the Oberg and Lundquist space?
Correct, yes.
Okay. So if this is granted, you'll have a full building?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Good for you. Okay. Anybody else have any other questions?
Mr.
Thanks, Rudy.
Chairman, I just
Yes.
have one question, just in thinking about the future for the applicant. Right now, you got 7 spaces on the sign with 7 tenants. What if you cut down you chopped up the building further to get 8 or 9? Is this sign going to be adequate? You got to get 2?
Yeah, I mean, that's, the size of the spaces is probably the most ideal. I mean, the smallest space that we have is 820 square feet. So to make tiny cubicles doesn't make any sense. And we don't want that kind of, I don't want all those tenants there. I mean, just trying to keep it compact and, I don't want headaches. I want to try to minimize it. So there's no room for that. I mean, the way that the building is set up, there's no way to get any more than 3 upstairs and 4 on the first floor. So that's really pretty much it. So I have zero intention of doing that.
We have no problem bringing you back. I'm just trying to see if we can avoid it.
So in essence, right now, where the tutoring operation is going to be is the only vacant space in the building at this point?
Well, I mean, the one upstairs, they're going to be moving in September, so,
CO is pending, right?
right, CO is pending right now,
Okay.
Permitted use.
right.
And it doesn't require any
Any different
intensification of parking? Okay. And with regard to the Strata Tile Boutique, what are their business hours?
They're from 10 o'clock until 5, 10 to 5.
And then on Saturdays?
By appointment only.
Okay. Because I imagine that the busiest day for your proposed tenant is going to be Saturdays, and in the later afternoons, I guess when school's out, I mean, we can ask them when they come up. But it sounds like, if anything, the parking, I guess your parking usage would be earlier in the day than probably when their peak parking requirement.
Yeah, I usually meet my clients before noon and, an hour or two, and then we're pretty much done.
Any other questions, Mr. Salerno? Good. Okay.
Well, thank you,
Mr. Salerno.
thank you.
Call Alyssa Elner to testify.
You just swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Can you state your name and business address?
Sure.
Or if you don't have a business address, a home address will be fine.
Sure. My name is Alyssa Elner, and my home address, because we do not have a business address right now, is 561 Bar Court in Rivervale, New Jersey, 07675.
Alyssa, I'm sorry, can you just spell your first and last name for
Sure.
me?
ALYSSAELL, N like Nancy, ER.
Thank you.
You give the board members the benefit of your background, both educationally and professionally.
Sure. I have a BA in early childhood and sociology from UMass Amherst, and most recently I have worked for the County of Bergen for special services in early intervention, as well as a self-contained teacher in Old Japan.
And you are affiliated with Private Prep as one of the directors, is that correct?
Yes.
And you're familiar with this business?
Yes,
And in fact, this business had occupied space in Ridgewood, correct?
that's right.
And the concept is that you have continuing enrollment and you have students now, so this is an ongoing business.
Yes,
And you're wishing to relocate this in Mr. Salerno's building.
correct.
You had the opportunity to see the space and believe it can accommodate your needs.
Yes,
And would it be correct to say that in looking at this space and knowing what your clientele requires, that this building will accommodate what they require?
yes.
So what I'd like you to do is, just for the benefit of the board, explain to the board your hours of operation.
Sure. So Monday through Friday, it would definitely vary, most likely late afternoon, early evening. And then on the weekends, we do act as a testing center for a small portion of students where most likely we would be open maybe 9 to 3.
And when you're doing that testing, you heard me in my opening, based upon what you've explained, but just place on the record the maximum number of students that you test at a facility like this.
Typically, it could be anywhere between 4 to 10 students, I would say.
And how many instructors do you have, or proctors, when you're
It's
giving a
one
test?
proctor.
And how long are those tests?
They're typically 3 hours or 3 hours and 35 minutes.
I remember those. Okay, so in any event, and it's 1 or 2 of those tests on a Saturday?
It's one on a Saturday and one on a Sunday.
And the clientele, the students that would come to this, basically, what's the age, the range of the ages?
So depending on the tests that we're administering, we could have middle school or elementary, but primarily high schoolers, young high schoolers.
And when you stated to me, just put on the record, the young high schoolers, these are basically pre-17, isn't that correct?
Correct.
And so you don't have typically students driving to this facility?
Not typically.
Okay. And as far as parents coming, is it correct to say that it's basically a drop-off? They drop the student off and then they pick their child up later in the day?
Yep, from our experience, the parents will drop, the students will test, and we give them a pickup time, and they'll come back around.
And you don't encourage, obviously, parents to stay?
No, it's distracting, and we don't have a lounge or any area for parents to sit.
Okay, now, besides giving the testing, you stated that you're also tutoring, and so on the basis of that, just explain to me the maximum number of teachers that would be at the facility in those weekday afternoons.
Sure.
And how many students would be there, what's the time frame? It's all by appointment. What's the time frame for a student coming to be tutored?
Okay, so primarily our tutoring business is at home, so where somebody would go to a student's home. For that 10% or less that want to meet at a test center, they most likely would meet after 4 p.m. and it would be one student to one teacher, and then possibly maybe 1 or 2 lessons going on at a time. So I'd say maybe a maximum of 4 people occupying the space, and again, a parent dropping off the student.
So I had stated earlier in my opening that the majority, and you say 90%, of this type of tutoring is basically, this is the home base for the teacher to come there, but then they leave to go to the home to do
Correct.
the instruction. It's an ongoing business, it has previously been at Ridgewood, so
Yes.
this location would properly accommodate students that you have.
Yep, this space would be ideal, especially after the year we went through, coming back into some more face-to-face. The space accommodates us really well, and it's hassle-free. A lot of our demographic is in the Wyckoff Ridgewood area, so it works for both the parent and the student.
And based upon what you've seen at the site, you believe that the parking can easily accommodate your needs.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. I have nothing further.
Thanks, Ms. Elner. My question is, with regard to the tutoring, how is that done? Is that done on, I understand there's testing done too, but when the tutoring's done, is that one-on-one?
Yep, it's one-on-one, so it's one student to one tutor.
Right, is it done in a private room? Is it done in a cubicle? How's it?
We would keep the space relatively open, so there could be, just the two desks face-to-face for a student and a teacher to sit there.
How do you accommodate it if you got more than one student in and there's two separate subjects?
We were thinking about splitting the space in half, but not a hard divider. So we could have some people on the left side and then the other student on the right side, and then possibly a divider, if need be, that could open and close.
And how, when on testing days,
Sure.
which, your primary testing days on Saturday?
Mhm.
And how many students can you accommodate?
We were thinking of probably a maximum of on or around 10.
And would that be done at separate desks, or how?
Yes, the desk, when we were there, was, pretty heavy into the pandemic, so we're thinking desks set 6 feet apart and a proctor up front. So the students would have their own space and the proctor could, be in front of them.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess my only concern with the parking and the traffic would be on Saturday, because that obviously would be your busiest day, but it sounds like from the other businesses, if they're primarily by appointment only, you wouldn't have a lot of competition from them, it seems like.
And this is appointment only also, so there's no drop-in, so people have to register, so we would cap it so that it was appropriate for the building space, if need be.
Anybody have any other questions?
How many parking spots do you think you need?
I would say some days none, because they're, it's not.
We got employees though.
We have 3 employees, but the last year and a half, we've all worked from home, and it's been very successful. So when and if the tutors are meeting students, maybe 1 for the tutor or 2. And then on a weekend, again, 1 proctor, and it's drop-off.
How much space did you have in Ridgewood that you're leaving?
I would say that our space was maybe around 800 square feet.
So you're increasing your size somewhat.
Yep.
Anybody else?
And did you have parking in Ridgewood or
It was street parking.
street parking?
Where was your location?
We were right on Broad Street, where Bagelicious, where it burned down, a couple doors down from there.
Up from the Russo building.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So that's what burned down.
Yeah.
The testing is mainly what, SAT prep?
SAT, ACT, and high school entrance exams.
Anything else? No? You have anything else, Mr. Whitaker?
No, that concludes our presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'll open it up for discussion. Do you have any comments?
The question I have is if we give the parking variance of 54, is that 54 forever or 54 with the current uses? In other words, so we expand it from 48 to 54 permanently.
Well, I think Mr. Hanley can answer that, but my understanding is that if the variance were granted for 54, you're seeking 54, right?
Yeah.
That is correct.
that the 54 would be permanent. So if they get another tenant in that only required a total of 54 with the other tenants, they would not have to come back.
So as long as whatever uses are in there are 54 and under, they wouldn't have to come back here. That's what you're saying.
Well, that's what you're asking for,
That's
correct?
correct. In other words, it would be, 54 would be the max. The rest of the building, you know, Mr. Salerno could leave and another retail comes in, but it's retail to retail, we wouldn't have to come back.
And your concern with raising that is because, is it primarily because the 2009 resolution, it seemed to limit it somewhat to?
Yeah,
to
you just read the resolution, you had that, it seemed like it was Mr.
To the
Salerno's use
kitchen
only.
related?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But other retail uses could be there.
Okay, so I think maybe the concern was in the 2009 resolution, it seemed to limit, maybe not specifically, but there was reference to all the businesses being related to kitchen uses, tile, et cetera. And what Mr. Salerno is asking for is that he be allowed any B1 usage, provided he doesn't exceed the required parking. That's your understanding too, Mr. Hanley?
That's my understanding.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes.
That's what we are.
Yeah, that's my
So,
understanding.
as I said before, if one of the tenants moved out and they put in a restaurant, that might boost up the.
We'd have to come back for a
And
variance.
then they would have to come back for.
You
a
heard
variance
Mr.
on
Salerno,
that
as long as he owns the building, that's not happening.
I would think, I mean, when I rode by the building, again, it's a very nice looking building, but I was looking for it, and, you know, I've heard of your business, but I had to slow down a lot to see the building, so I think your signage will certainly be helpful with regard to that. You know, my only concern, it's a busy location, I hope the people will see it in time and be able to turn in, because, you know, you're gonna have kids running around there, and that's always a concern on Goffel Road, but it seems to make sense for me, and like I said, you know, the current climate, anything that can help a business or a landlord, to me, is, within reason, is a good thing, so. Does anybody have any objections or any comments? Glenn, you
No,
good?
I think it's gonna be, I think it'll work fine.
Kelly, your concern about the sign is, okay?
Yes.
The location?
Yep, thank you.
Mike?
I'm happy with it.
Pete, I know you're new to this, any comments or questions?
No concerns?
Okay. All right, so can we have a motion to approve the application as presented, which would be seeking a variance for 6 spaces up to a total of 54, and for location of the ground sign?
Motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Ms. Conlon?
Yes.
Mr. Homechek?
Yes.
Mr. Seitzma?
Yes.
Mr. Boonstra?
Really had to
Mr.
leave.
Melchiong?
Yes.
Chairman Fortunato?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Have a good evening.
you.
Best of luck to you.
Can I make just one other request? Recognizing you don't have an August meeting and school's coming, could the building department just be advised of the action you've taken tonight so they can start to process any application they have to put partitions in and things for that purpose before your resolution is approved?
Sure, Mark ran out. I mean, do you?
That's why I saw him, he would know, but I just, so there's no gap and we can get started.
I can have Mr.
No.
Salerno sign a waiver
Yes.
that we give to people who want to begin.
At their own risk,
Their process
yes.
at their own risk.
Yes.
So I'll.
Yeah, we've done that before, so.
As long as it's at their risk.
It's at their risk, yes.
Okay, I have no problem.
Yeah, we don't want to hold you up.
Want to get those students to start studying.
Yeah.
All right, best of luck to you.
Okay, and I guess have a nice summer, that's it.
You
Yes.
too.
Take care.
And I-
Okay, you know, before you go, I have to open this to the public. Anybody from the, can I have a motion to open this to the public?
Motion open to the public?
Have a second?
Second.
Okay, anybody from the public present? Anybody have any comments on this? Seeing no one from the public, no one answering, can I have a motion to close to the
Motion
public?
to close to the public?
And a second?
Second.
Very good. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, good evening.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay, I don't think we have any other business, so can I have a motion to adjourn the regular business meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.